Hey, hey everyone, let's see who's here. Hi, Nan. Am I just not seeing comments? Hi, Kareen. Kareen, do you mind commenting so I can make sure that my Facebook is working? There you are. Hello. All right, my Facebook is working. Fantastic. So as you guys know, today is new release day, and we are going to color the new Gothic forest. I could color it like this, but I think you guys have seen that several times today. Meg, hello! And so I don't want to color it like this again. I want to color it a little bit different so you guys can see something a little bit different. So I think we're going to color this a little bit more winter-y. How do you feel about that? So I stamped it in black lines and I stamped it in no lines. So I was going to see which way you guys wanted me to color this tonight. I also have the leftover of my wine from last night in my cool little moose mug. Because it's Christmas, right? So I was kind of thinking that since we were going to do snowy stuff, that I would do no lines. But if you guys prefer it in black lines, I'm more than happy to do that too. So you just tell me what you guys want. When you pop on, say hello. I'm not really sure who's here. I realized that my Facebook on my computer is logged in under my personal profile, and my Facebook on my phone is logged in under Sweet Sentiment. So I'm all kinds of a hot mess tonight. Oh, hey, I can switch to Sweet Sentiment, I think. Maybe? Oh, it is switching. Hey, hey, maybe I can see who's on now. There we go. Ha-ha! Awesome. Okay. Either way, she says. Either way. Okay. Well, I don't really know. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see better. And I'm going to go with no lines. It's just my gut. It's what I really like to do. No lines is my jam. So, agreed. Either way, you guys are very unhelpful. So, with an image like this, I know it can be very intimidating, especially since there is so much going on. You probably want me to move that a little bit so that you're not staring right at that light. There's so much going on, and we're putting in no lines and all of that kind of stuff. My biggest piece of advice to you is to make sure that you have the package handy, or at least the stamp set handy, so that you can reference the lines and how we colored it on here to kind of give you a little idea. But I always like to break it down into pieces. And so the easiest thing for me that I see first is the trees, and then I see the sky. So I might actually start with doing the sky because it's going to be all dark and stormy. And so I think that that's going to be where I'm going to start. So I'm going to grab my BV29, my BV25, BV23, BV20, and BV000. So that's where I'm going to start. No line. I like using my single one of these and then putting everything into my other one. Okay. So again, you want to take both caps off. And with this, I'm going to start in this tree line. And so I'm going to kind of vaguely outline where the tree is. The cool thing about doing no lines is kind of anything goes. If you happen to shape something incorrectly or, you know, boo-boo because your line isn't quite right, it's not a big deal because nobody's going to know. So I'm going to come up here, probably start about here, and just give myself a boundary to work in. And I know that we're going pure fantasy here because there's a bunch of leaves on these trees and I'm coloring it to be snowy. And usually by the time it's snowy, trees do not have a bunch of leaves on them. But we're going to forget that one little detail for tonight. And we're going to color this how we want to, because in our world, you can still have leaves on the trees and snow on the ground. Right? So is everybody ready? Oh my gosh, I can't even talk. Is everybody ready for Christmas? The stockings are all hung by the chimney with care. The gifts are all wrapped. Santa's got his bag packed. All that good stuff. Live on a Saturday night, yes. Hey, Linda. Michelle, I'm usually live on Saturdays now, and because you and so many others have said that they can't watch during the afternoon, I have been trying to do my lives at night. It doesn't always work for me, but I'm certainly gonna try. I totally called you out on my video last night about why the time change on the lives. So this is a brand new artist for us. We met her at a show in Florida, and her name is Bailey Milbert, and oh my goodness gracious, she is all kinds of adorable. I believe she's 19, and she had a booth, and she was selling her art prints and things of that nature. And so her booth was directly behind ours. And so we kept talking back and forth throughout the day. And she eventually asked, after we spoke with her and her mother, about maybe doing some work for us. And so Sandy and I had a couple of very long conversations with her about drawing for a stamp company and how that differs from just your normal everyday drawing and posting onto social media and such. and she seemed very eager. So, yeah, I did. I called you out. I threw you under the bus. You'll have to watch yesterday's live, because I was like, it's because of Milligan that I'm on late. I blame Milligan. So anyways, Sandy and I went back to our booth and we spoke after talking to Bailey and her mom for, you know, throughout the weekend and stuff. And we decided that we wanted to kind of give it a go. We wanted to give her a chance, and we believe you rise by lifting others. So, oh, I'm sorry, was I hugging my picture? All you see is my head or my hand? Was my head in the way? I don't know. I'm confused. So anyways, so we decided that we would give her a chance and call her up and see if she wanted to do some artwork for us. And she did. We did. And she did. And this is the first stamp set. So we were going to wait until next year to release them. And, but we decided that it would go so well with this release that we wanted to try one out to see what you guys thought. So here we are. Well, this is very detailed. The light in here is not so grand. I'm drinking wine and I'm tired as all get out, if we're gonna be honest. So you might see my head more than one time tonight because that's funny. Because I, in the best of circumstances, am a project hugger. So stack all those things up against me, you're gonna get to see some of my noggin tonight, that's for sure. But that's okay. So we are really excited about this release, and we're really excited about these new background stamps, and we hope you really like them too. Well, honestly, I was trying to put my phone so it was kind of like at an angle so you could see the nib better. I know, right? As long as my head doesn't hit the desk, we're all doing well. So you could see, you know, when it's at an angle better, you could see what my hand was doing. And I think the new camera placement is not what I want. So we're just going to endure it for this video, and I'm going to move it back for the next one. But hey, growing pains, you know? All right, so there's my dark and stormy sky. You opened the live and saw my head. I'm gonna make that the thumbnail for the live. My big old noggin there. How do you feel about that? Okay, so I have my BV quadruple zero because I like to add just a tiny bit of purple to this. It makes it feel a little bit colder, a little bit more wintry. Awesome. Okay, that sky looks like it's ready to snow, don't you think? So, move these out of the way into my big mama jamma here. And we're gonna move on. So again, like I said, the trees. Look, Sandy, see, I am drinking wine out of my moose mug. It's my leftover from last night. Like, don't think I opened a new bottle or nothing, because, woo, my head probably would hit the desk. So the next thing I see is the trees. I'm going to use some kind of muted colors again because I want to. Because we're going a little bit darker with this overall. Going a little bit darker. Where's my E89? I missed a color. So the E80s only have 4 colors in the blend. So I'm going to see how I feel, but I'm probably going to do a little bit of tip-to-tip blending. But since this is a tree, or a tree trunk, I'm not too awfully worried about it. So when you're coloring, right? It's a great reason. When you're coloring things that have a foreground, midground, background, everything that is closer to you is darker. And I know that seems counterintuitive, but if you ever happen to be driving anywhere and you look out to the horizon line, everything that is closer to you is more vivid and a darker color, and everything that's further away is a lot lighter. So I'm going to follow some of these artist drawn lines and just start adding some texture. Bailey's really great about adding lines to kind of get you started without overdoing it. Sandy gave her a lot of advice as far as developing this skill, not overdoing things, but also not underdoing things. So we're just going to follow kind of what she's laid out for us. And I'm really not over concerned about the edges and stuff because I know those are going to kind of be cut off when I frame this. Okay, that's about as far as I'm going to go for now. Yeah, Tammy, everybody thinks the other way. And honestly, I did for the longest time. And then I really started looking at photography and I started looking at real life and realized that I was very wrong. And things, the closer they get to you, the darker they are. So just a cool little rule of thumb to remember if and when you're coloring this stuff. Anything that has like a horizon line to it or something like that, that is the way you'll want to color it to make it look a little more realistic. This is Memento Desert Sand. I also stamped it with black, but we decided to go with the desert sand because I'm going to make this kind of snowy. I think. I don't know. I haven't really 100% decided yet. I keep chickening out because I'm not super good at snowy scenes, but I want to show you how easy this is to color if you just break it down, because I know when you stamp it out, it looks super intimidating, and I'm really jazzed about this because I think it makes awesome backgrounds available for everybody where, you know, like the printed paper sheets and stuff that people have, they're cool because they're super duper detailed and stuff. But I really like to do my own backgrounds. And this is one of those ways that if you're intimidated to draw your own background, that you can kind of still participate in coloring your own background without having to have all those artist skills. So I thought it was kind of neat. Yeah, I'm liking that. That's super duper cool. Tammy, I did send you a note earlier today. I'm not sure on which platform, about your order and which stamps you wanted so I could mail your order. So check that. Okay, so next is this tree stump. These two to me are kind of on that middle plane. There's several planes here, but these two to me are kind of on that middle plane, so they're going to be fairly close in color. I think I'm going to go with the 70s on this one. So E79, 77, 74, 71, and 70. And again, I'm just going with like color, like pre-done color blends for you guys, because I don't want to make things anything more difficult than, you know, than is already here. I want you to really, really want to buy these background stamps because I think they're awesome. And the only way that we will do more is if you guys think they're awesome too. It's kind of how business works, right? Sandy and I put a lot of thought into what you guys would like and what quote unquote people would like. And so it does our hearts good when you guys are super complimentary of a release like you have been today. So thank you guys for all of your compliments, for complimenting the design team. I know they really appreciate it. It makes them feel good too. For commenting, for watching the lives, just like all the things, you guys. It makes us feel so good and happy. And we appreciate it. All right. Yes, this is done by Bailey Milbert. Oh, sorry, I've been in and out. Sleep. Came home early from it. Oh no, babe. I'm so sorry. I honestly didn't know it was your anniversary. Happy anniversary. Sorry you had to come home early. That's a big old bummer. But at least you get to sleep in your own bed, which is always a good thing. For me, anyways. All right, I think that's about all I'm going to do with this color. Don't want to go overboard with the dark. Seeing this stamp is a little intimidating, but I like how you're breaking it down. Yes. I mean, when you look at the stamp itself, like, that's very intimidating. That's a lot of lines. But it's very cool. And once you start breaking it down and taking it piece by piece by piece, you realize that it's just, I mean, it's a tree stump, and we've all colored these trees before, so start there. It's sky, so we've all colored sky before, so go there. And you will find yourself being able to piece this together and color it down the way that you are hoping. So yes, I highly recommend breaking it up and not just trying to go full Monty on it right away. The other thing is notice I'm not being like super duper careful about coloring, because the cool thing is that, you know, this is all like nature, and sort of if you're a little bit more messy and painterly about it, it's gonna look more natural and therefore be a little bit more convincing. So don't worry about being absolutely perfect on coloring these, because like I said, sort of the more you go off the rails a little bit, the more natural it's going to look. "27 years. Wow, girl. Congratulations." All right. I don't know why I didn't have that other cap off, but my marker was starting to get juicy, and so I caught it. I caught it. You guys got married in December? Oh, bad, bad, bad. Don't you know Christmas is in December? So to make this snowy, there's going to be a lot of gel pen action going on. Just so you know, there's going to be a lot of colorless blender and mucho gel pen. I don't want it to be like covered in snow because there's still a lot of foliage on there. Hi, Cheryl. So I don't want it to be like totally covered in snow, but I do want it to have like the beginnings of snow. And so that's where I'm going to go with this. Cheryl, I tried to tilt the camera a little more so there was like a better angle, a better view, so that my hand wasn't in the way of coloring. But I don't know how successful that was, so you can let me know. Okay, so the other that I want to use is the 40s. And I'm not going to use 4-9 because it's so dark it would bring this tree a lot more forward. So, fun fact, we knew each other 2 weeks and then got married. No way! Shut the front door! That's amazing! And 27 years later, you're still married. Wow. You like this angle, Tammy, even though you get to see my big fat head sometimes because I'm leaning in on the paper. You just know that when you get a card from me, it's well loved, because I pretty much, like, if the camera was not here, I would be so much more on top of this paper. I basically hug my projects. And that's why it's hard for me. So like Sandy can color anywhere. Like, I've seen it happen. She can color quite literally anywhere. I, on the other hand, I've got to have a desk or be like sitting with like a pillow on my lap, or, you know, something, TV tray in front of me, or something like that. I am not an anywhere, anytime color. Yep, God had a plan. I just feel like you can see the nib a little bit better this way. My hand's not quite so much in the way, even though it's still sort of in the way. Okay, so again, we're just breaking this down, trying to pull out the pieces that we know how to color so that this whole thing isn't quite so intimidating to us. So right now, we're just coloring the tree, kind of following the artist drawn lines, pulling in these shadows. She was pretty detailed on this tree. I keep on wanting to say the sandy drawn lines because I got used to it now. Okay. All right, and then this tree trunk I'm going to do a little bit lighter because it's a little bit further back. Okay, so again, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to not worry about being perfect. We're just going to kind of come in and elongate where those previous lines were, add a few extra lines, but sort of the less perfect you are with this, the more natural it's going to look. Okay. Oh, I forgot this whole branch right here. So, is everybody ready for Christmas? I know I asked, but I didn't really get any answers. It looks like it's jumping off the page. Well, thank you, I think. I'm pretty sure that's a compliment. I'll take it as a compliment. Sounds awesome to me. These super detailed things, I know when you first start them, they seem super intimidating, but I honestly really love coloring them because I feel like the more detail that the artist adds, the less chance I have of screwing it up. And that's just for me, the non-artist type person. Now, I know I'm an artist in a different way. All of you have been correcting me throughout the year. So, oh, you're traveling. Where are you traveling to? But I find it very cathartic to color these super detailed things like this. So I'm really happy that we have some cool things like the emo fairy. This whole release has a lot of detail to it. So the gargoyles, Sandy, oh my God, she killed it on those. You can color them as stone. I mean, she added the little craggy parts to them, so you can definitely make them look like stone. Or you can make those look like scars, and you can kind of bring the little beasts to life. And I think that's really, really cool. I'm waiting for somebody to color them as water spouts, because that's what they really are. That's what gargoyles really were created for. So now I'm going to take my E41. Ooh, Georgia. Just placed my order for the new release. Oh, Cheryl. I'm so excited. And I'm just going to kind of blend some of this together with that. Check that out, you guys. I really like that. I love the 40s. They really make that kind of brown paper bag feel. And I just, mwah, chef's kiss. Okay. So now I have this tree, which should technically be on the same plane as this tree. So I get to use the same colors. And yes, I do put a lot of thought into my coloring. I do think about it a lot more, I think, than the average person. I think the average person just kind of goes at it in colors. Sorry, Christmas party to go to. We'll watch replay. I promise I will be around at night more after Christmas. Okay, Milligan, I will see you hopefully Monday night, because I will be doing another live on Monday night. There's no live tomorrow, so you don't have to worry about it. But dang, girl, you go to a lot of Christmas parties. The heck? You're a party animal. I bet it's not by choice. Because, you know, I know you and stuff. Good night, Milligan. Linda, you're being awfully quiet. I know you were here. Enjoy yourself and be careful. That's right. Okay. And then again, thanks, Cheryl. This 41. Because it just kind of blends everything together. It kind of oversaturates everything and makes those lines kind of bleed out a little bit, so it looks more like texture and less like perfect lines, which is more what we want for the tree. Dang, I got a lot of markers out already. Okay, so I want to go one lighter for this tree. And I think I'm going to go, I don't want it too warm. So I think we're going to mix a couple of things. I think we're going to go 34, 31, and then we're going to pop over into our W's. Okay, because I don't want it to be too warm again, because I'm trying to make this a little bit more dark. But we're going back into that horizon. So I want it to be... You're so wowed by the sky? So this is a much, much warmer color than what I really wanted. But I'm going to cool it down with those W's. So have no fear. You mean it's all cool, but the sky is just where it's at for you. Okay, so with this W, I'm going to go over the top of those browns that I already put in there. And see how that brings that color down some? Makes it so it's not so bright, not so warm and cheery. And then I'm going to use this WOO to add those highlights. Okay, now I realize there's like a stick here, and I thought I saw another one. There's one right here. So I kind of need to go back and grab some of my darker markers to come in and do these little roots that are sticking out of the ground. So this is my 8-9 that I used when creating that first tree right here. And then I'm going to use the same one on this because I kind of feel like this root comes from this tree. I could be wrong, but you can interpret it however you would like to interpret it when you color it. But at least it'll give you some ideas, because you see on the package and in the design team examples today, we all kind of colored it like warm and sunny and bright. And it looks kind of like a nice spring day, and you're hiking in the woods and you come across this really cool old medieval castle, because that happens all the time, especially in Idaho. Yes, I'm being facetious. But I wanted to give this a little bit different feel. And I want you to see that you can give this a different feel based on the color choices you make. I mean, you could definitely do this all like monochromatic and just use all of your grays. That would be super fun too. Okay, so here we are. And now to kind of anchor all this down so that I'm not super afraid of it, I'm going to do the path. Because the little path in here to me kind of like pulls everything together. So if I do the little path, it won't feel so, you know, like, it's such a big open space. So that's what I'm going to do. Watching. Thank you for letting me know, Tammy. I appreciate it. You understand me so well. Okay. So I'm going to grab my 30, my 40, and then I'm going to use a couple of the markers that I already have out here. So I'm going to start with this E89, and I'm going to be using like a bunch of the markers that I have out here because this is a dirt path. So kind of like how I made the sky, I'm going to sort of come in here and create darker in front outline that rock a little bit. Okay, I'm going to start blending that with my E77. And as I go further and further back, the darker or the lighter colors become the shadow colors. I'm going to switch to my E44. So you watched as I created this, and what was my highlight color here is my shadow color here. And then you just keep building. Question, have you ever thought about listing the colors after done, reference later? Yes, we do put all of the colors in the description on YouTube. Yep. This one's going to be a beast to add all of my colors to. Not going to lie. I'm going to be like every E in the entire E series. For starters, every E. Okay, so that gets gradually lighter as it goes back towards the horizon. Jamie, what color was the stamp done in? On our way to drive through Christmas lights? What, Linda? That sounds amazing. I'm sorry, Cheryl Squirrel. It was stamped in Memento Desert Sand. Yep, Desert Sand Memento. I also stamped it in black. But we decided to go with this one. So there we are. Okay, so the next thing I see is rocks. So I'm going to start going with the rocks. And I tend to use cooler colors for the rocks. You thought this was water. It could be water. That could very much be a river. I did it as a path. That's how I saw it, was a path. But, I mean, I think that's a fantastic idea to make it a river. See? It's open to interpretation. Yes, lots of lines. Lots and lots of lines. And like I said, it does look quite intimidating when you set this out. But again, as we start breaking it down, it's much easier than what you think. Okay, so I'm going to start with C5, and we're going to make some of these rocks here. All these little pieces of shrubbery would leave a shadow, as with the tree root on those rocks. And then this one right here. Oh, that's awesome, Cheryl. Now I really want to color this like a river. You have inspired me, my friend. Okay, this rock I want to make a little bit lighter because it's set further back. Two noisy boys. Well, if you see any super cool houses, go ahead and send me pictures, Linda Lou. Because we do not ever drive around to look at the Christmas lights. Because we live out in farm country, so we would have to do kind of a lot of driving. Oops. Guess I should color these ones too. Oh, and I need to make, oh, that's a log. It's not a rock at all. It's a log. Are they ever? Okay, so there's that. I'm going to go back to this log and color this in. Now that I realize what it is. I've only colored this stanza, you know, a few dozen times already. But, you know, it's fine. So are you guys liking the release? What's your favorite set so far? What is the one set that you just gotta have, that you will surely perish if you do not get it? There we go. Linda will tell you, you just got to have it all. That's what Linda will say. The gargoyles, yeah, they're super duper cool. Loving those gargoyles. Okay, so now that I have this done, I am going to start in with the greens. Now, again, I kind of want to do this muted because I want to add some snow and stuff to it. So I don't want everything to be super bright and springy and fun. We're going to kind of pull it down a little bit. So I'm going to start with like my favorite YG blend and go with that dark olive green. All of it. This one you're coloring, yeah. It's neat. I mean, it's completely different. Like I said, it's very different than what, you know, we have currently. And so we just kind of wanted to expand and see what you guys thought. So I'm going to start with coloring this kind of philodendron looking plant down here. Because it pops out at me as being the closest. So I guess it could be a hosta, but its leaves are a little bit different than a hosta. So who wants a white Christmas? Where are my white Christmas people at? I don't know that I'm so much of a white Christmas person. Yes, Sandy is. She's doing super well. I don't know that mushrooms are going to go in super well here. So I'm just going to start, because this is such a dark ink, I'm going to color over said mushrooms. I know, it's kind of sad because I do really like the mushrooms. But they just seem more of a springtime thing to me. And usually they require like a pop of color, like a bright red or something. And I don't know that I want to do that. I know, right, Linda Lou? Aren't you like proud mama? Nope, not me. You're not into white Christmas. Okay, and then I'm going to use my favorite kind of stippling technique. It's a little bit of a modified stippling technique because I'm being slightly more messy with it for these trees up here. So normal stippling, I would be doing these little polka dots, and this one I'm kind of using the side of the marker. And I'm actually letting the marker drag a little bit. And I'm making all of this stuff dark because this is all like framing it in. So this is kind of meant to all be on the same plane. It's all forward for you. It's what you're looking through to see to that castle in the background there. Okay. Dreams come true, right? Check it off your list, Sandy. Because it's official. There's actually not a lot of people that I know that can say, when I was a little girl or when I was a little boy, I wanted to do this. And then now that they're an adult, say, I did exactly what I wanted to do as a little kid. I mean, I'm sure the road that brought you here is very different than what you imagined, but you got here. And that's the important part. Okay, so back up to the trees we go. And again, as I was saying before, kind of the messier you are, the more convincing it becomes. I kind of learned that the hard way because I used to be very particular about this stuff, this type of foliage and stuff. And I have learned through watching other artists, through trial and error, through so many different things, that kind of the more you just let it go, the more convincing these look. Because reality is these aren't really supposed to be the focus. So if you're in here making perfect leaves and all of that stuff, they become the focus. And that's not, it's counterproductive to what you're trying to do. Kind of want to make that castle the focus. Thanks. It takes a bit to color this scene, I will say that. But I love it. And it's fun. It's one of those things that you can start to color and you can come back to, and you can color some on it and then you can come back to it, and kind of piece it together. And I did that a couple of times with a couple of the ones that I colored. And you're in different moods when you color it, so it comes out really neat. But coloring this does not take me any longer than if I were to be creating a background anyways. So it's just a lot less intimidating to have it stamped than to have a blank piece of paper and try to color your own, try to draw and create your own background. Oh, look at that, you guys. It's so cool. It's looking 3D. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Not everybody. Well, that's why we try to, you know, add stuff that everybody will like. create diversity in our releases so that you're not stuck. Notice I flip-flopped. At the beginning of this, I started by coloring all down here, and now I'm like so excited about these trees that I'm coloring up here. I'm really better at doing it this way. Now the reason I go all the way back down into some of this with this green is to add texture. So I'm trying to create some texture as I follow those down. Okay, so with this, I'm just going to kind of use it to make squiggly lines all in here, make sure there's no white spots. Color this all in, and then I really want to saturate these and kind of make them bleed together. So I'm going to add a lot of ink with this marker. I'm going to go over it a couple of times. This color also kind of tones down that previous green. This is one of the few times that I kind of all out scribble. Okay, so we're going to trade these greens in for another green. And I'm just going to use 3 on this one because we have so many different greens that we're going to use. So this is 6-7, 6-3, and 6-1. All in the YG family. Now I'm going to overlap some. And here we go. Okay, and again, we're just breaking this down piece by piece and continuing to move forward with this. Over and over and over, we're just moving up and moving up, essentially moving further back and back and back into the picture. So that's why the colors keep going lighter and lighter and lighter. It starts off dark and then they keep graduating into lighter and lighter. And you'll notice that I started using 3 color blends because, like I said, we are using so many greens that it does make it a little tough to continue to create color blends. So you start to become a little tonal on all of it. And that is not what we want. This is actually brighter than what I would prefer it be, but I can tone that down a little bit. So because that's so bright and like a springy type color, I'm gonna come in with my E81 and we're gonna put a top coat on it. It's going to pull it down just a little bit so it's not quite so bright. And the further and further we go off into the distance, the less detail we want. So we want to start making these smoother of blends. So that's why I'm not too worried about oversaturating it and making it a little bit smoother. Taking some of that texture away. Are you guys just mesmerized watching over there? Out there in Facebook land? Yep. Too funny. Yep. Okay. Now that I have that done, I have these big bushes that are like covering the entrance to the castle. So I become a little bit of a chicken when it comes to this point because I don't know if I want to color the bushes first or color the castle first. I think I'm leaning towards coloring the castle first. So I'm going to start with this little tree that's sticking out of the roof here. And I'm just going to go back into my little color arsenal here with colors that I already have pulled out. And we're just going to go to town with coloring this little castle here. So, again, I want to make this look like it's old and craggy and, you know, busted and broken. And, oh, excuse me, see, starting to get sleepy. I'm gonna go with N. See, I said we're gonna use all the colors we already had out, and I'm pulling out new colors. But there's a hole in the roof, so this is going to get colored dark. I'm also gonna go through and we're gonna color in windows. So this also has a hole. And then the tree. This has left a shadow. We're going to color in windows. Yeah, you really could. You could make this absolutely like that. No castle at all. You know, if you color it as no lines. There's, you know, like Cheryl said, you could make that path a river, which, you know, I'm holding on to that, right? Like, I'm for real doing that. So thank you for that. Hopefully you don't mind if I steal that idea, Cheryl, because I'm all over it. There's so many things that you could do with this stamp. And we haven't even like scratched the surface. You don't even have to color it at all. I was thinking doing like a watercolor splatter background and then stamping this over the top of that. I think it would look so cool. So there's a ton of things, but look at how much that castle comes to life just by putting windows in it. It's insane. But I didn't want to color over the lines tonight because I wanted to show you guys how to color this. So there you go. So we're going to graduate really quickly to the N5. We went from N9 to N5. But again, I want this to look more cement-ish. Or stone is probably the better word. Okay, so this is the wooden part of the gate. This is the wooden part of the gate. That is the broken piece of wood. And this is the continuation of that wall. Okay. So then what I have here, so that's wooden and that's wooden. So then what I have here is this part. And then we have the roof of this house. And the bottom of that, okay. Then this will leave a shadow back here. Outline that wooden part. This is that Gothic glass window. This is the roof line. Does anybody else talk to themselves while they're coloring like I do? Or just me? Okay. So this is still got a wooden part. That is ivy growing up the side of the building. That's decorative. This is decorative. This is underneath that spire. Okay. Oh, good. Oh my God, I put order in this morning and just saw it was filled already. Wow, what service. Can't see any lines. You must have good eyes, my friend. I only see the lines you're making. That's funny. Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one that talks to myself, though, because I'm like over here all the time, straight up talking to myself. Okay, so then we have kind of the cathedral part here. Corner of the building. This is the front. There's the little facade. And the columns. Well then, Cheryl, you think that I am an amazing artist because I am here drawing this entire castle. I'll take it. Under that tree. All right, there we go. There's the outline of our castle. So now I'm going to go to N3. I hope he comes into my craft room and asks who I'm talking to. I need an expert advice, so I'm talking to myself. Duh. Make sure I'm coloring in the right place here. Okay. And I would like for you guys to decide what color you want those spires to be. What would you like the rooftops to be? I did them red in here. I believe Sandy made them blue. They can be any color that you guys would like. Copper, not blue. Okay. Copper's really hard. Oh, that's a tough ask. All right, here we go. So what you're saying is this was a super rich kingdom. And they had all this copper. that they used on the roof of their castle. But I can't have bright, shiny new copper because it's been sitting here in ill repair for many, many moons. So your copper, Monday, your friend, is going to get some patina. All right, we have copper with some patina on it because it's been sitting there for a long time. Might actually tone it down just a little bit more. There we go. All right. So then what we're going to do is we're going to color this tree. And then we're going to color this ivy. That has started to overtake the building. Oh, thanks, Cheryl. All right. Okay, so now I'm left with these wooden pieces, and I forgot. There we go. Okay, so the wooden pieces are going to have to be fairly light because they're pretty far back there. Now, you may not see these as wood. They might be something else for you. But to me, that's the two posts that held the gate in. And the gate is long gone, but the posts are still there. But again, you might see these as something entirely different, and that's completely okay. That is kind of the cool thing about stuff like this is, you know, like Sandy said, if you color it or if you stamp it in this no lines, you can definitely, you know, omit the castle entirely. Or if, like Cheryl said, you see this path as a river, you can make it as a river. I mean, just look at how many ideas we've had just tonight, let alone, you know, you guys haven't even like got the stamp in your hand yet. So I'm really, really excited to see all of you guys coloring this stamp. I forgot to color these little mushrooms here, so that's what I'm doing real fast. Okay. All right, so now all we have left is these bushes, and then we're gonna add some snow. So these bushes, I'm gonna kind of do a hybrid of colors because I don't want anything to be too bright. But there is this like hole in the bushes, like here and here. And so I want to make that darker. Oh my gosh, could you imagine if you put like eyes peeking out of this? That'd be pretty cool. Just realized that was the continuation of that fence, so. Probably need an in-between. Yep. Alright, so again, I'm just kind of using that stipling technique. It's a little bit modified because I'm letting that brush nib sit on that paper in a different way. Instead of doing those, using the very tip of the brush and doing those very precise kind of polka dots scenario that I generally do with a stipling technique, I am instead using the side of the brush. I'm not putting any pressure on it, guys. That's kind of the main point here, is there is no pressure. I'm literally, like, I can hold this at the very back of this and do this. There is no pressure because you do not want to damage your brush nib. So you're just doing the dots, but letting gravity work its way. that all seems fairly bright to me, so we're going to start pulling in some darker colors to pull that down again. So I'm going to grab my W2. And we're just adding a lot of ink so that we can run these greens together. We're toning it down some by using the W. I'm going to come back in with another green on top of this W, so we'll cover up some of the holes that we've made with this gray color. Okay. And then I'm going to use my G40, so it'll tint all that gray back into the green, back into the realm of green. I don't want to use a YG here because I don't want to add that brightness back to it. But I really like what this does to the overall feel. All right, there it is, my friends. I don't feel like I'm coloring very fast tonight, Cheryl. Okay, so I have a gel pen. This gel pen is actually a Karen gel pen, and I picked it up because I wanted to try it. Honestly, I like our gel pens better. Oh my gosh, I left one thing uncolored here. One thing. It's kind of funny. Okay. So we're going to start by adding some snow. So I'm going to just use dots, and I'll probably come back in with our gel pen and add more. But for now, we're going to start hitting all these rooftops. There's going to be snow accumulated on the top of this fence. And on these posts. It's going to be sitting on top of this. Sorry, I know you can see my noggin. Okay, so we're going to start adding snow into the little bushes here. It's going to accumulate on everywhere that is sticking up. Yeah, I don't like this gel pen a whole lot, actually. I like our gel pens better. I'm not gonna lie. Wow. Tammy, you're so cute. I just realized I was being all quiet and letting it snow here on my little village. There are delivery vans in my neighborhood right now. Kind of crazy. I guess 'tis the season, right? Are you guys enthralled? Everybody's being quiet again. All right. So, I don't know how much more snow I'm going to add. I know I was being super quiet, but I was kind of thinking where snow would fall and how it would fall and what it would look like in specific places. So, thus my quietness while making it snow. But I do feel like it has transformed this sort of into a winter scene. And I do feel like I'm going to have to come back in after this gel has dried, probably with the Sweet Sentiment gel pen, and add a little bit more texture to the snow, because I don't feel like this pen has kept its texture very much. But you know, just a skiff of snow. To make it look a little bit more wintry and something a little bit different than what you guys saw with the release. Well, Meg, we're pretty much done. So there it is, you guys. That's what we're gonna do tonight. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you like watching how all of this comes about. It is an exceedingly fun scene to color. Sandy's saying hello, hello, because I got quiet, but it just happens sometimes. Oops, I didn't cut off quite enough. So I'm just cutting this so that it does not have a border. And then that might help you see it just slightly better. So there you go. There's our snow-covered little castle and our snow-covered little scene. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the new release. This was Gothic Forest that we colored tonight. And there will be no live tomorrow because it's Sunday. But we will be live again, or I will be live again on Monday. And I'm going to do the same time slot at 6 p.m. So that is 2 big lives for you in a row for me. I generally don't do 2-hour lives, and I generally don't do nighttime lives, but we're turning over a new leaf here. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you guys all on Monday. Toodles!